If you're enjoying the video and you want to go deeper with me, check out my meditation masterclass. It's unlike anything. It's pinned in the comments below.
Make no mistake about that. They're the ones that are doing it. And the bigger impact that they can have, the further they can pull us up, so to speak. But everyone is going to eventually become a master. Some are doing it right now. Some have done it in other lifetimes. There's just these unique beings were created in a certain way to play a certain role. But there's dozens and dozens of ascended masters. And some are having this lifetime where they're reaching their full potential. And then they will most likely come back. They will most likely come back to help teach. And that is, for me, one of the things I want to make sure that everyone understands is that these beings will keep coming back, and they have never abandoned you, and they never will, ever. They simply do it in a cycle. They do it in a way that maybe we can't understand with our conscious mind. But know for a fact that they are with you, that they are a part of you, and they will never, ever abandon you. They will keep coming back until the work is done.
Now, I'm sure I'm going to hear from viewers who are going to say, well, if these ascended masters love us so much and they've been around for such a long time, how come we still have all of these problems, the wars in particular, but all the other problems facing humanity? Why don't they just fix things so that we can have a blissful heavenly existence? Why is there so much suffering?
Because we wouldn't learn anything if they fixed everything. That's why. And I can tell you that conversation has taken place, for sure. There's been lots of things that have happened in this realm or on this earth that from a human perspective are horrifying and continue to happen right now, right? That is horrifying, right? But if someone came in or a group of beings came in and just fixed everything, what would we have learned?
Well, and you're the perfect example, I think, for answering this question, because you had to confront a situation where you were diagnosed with permanent paraplegia.
Yeah, exactly. So if I would have just snapped my fingers or had one of these majestic beings hover over me and fix me like that, what would I have learned? Absolutely nothing. And I got to tell you something, I would have never wanted it. I wanted to do it myself. I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. So no one is coming to quote unquote fix everything, because it's all within us, and consciousness has to evolve. Now they are allowed to keep they can kind of do whatever they want, so to speak. They're not in the evolutionary cycle, but they can't fix everything from us, because it's like giving someone all the answers to the test. It's like, what did we learn, right? And I know things are tumultuous here. In a lot of ways, they're horrifying here. Don't identify with it. Okay, the analogy I like to use is that a glass of water and you have oil on the top of it, the oil stays atop the water even though they're in the exact same glass, in the exact same environment. The oil never drops down and mixes in and gets immersed. So when we stay detached, and I think detachment is the single most important thing for any individual to learn, by the way, literally number one is detachment. To detach from what is going on, to detach from your own ego mind identity, and to be able to start to experience yourself, you move beyond the rational mind. The intuitive mind is now online, as well as all your inherent wisdom and love. And that's the only thing that's going to fix these problems, is more wisdom and more love that comes from the beings that are occupied here. It's always consciousness is the answer. Always. And it's always about seeing it from a more holistic and inclusive perspective. That's the only thing that can fix this. And we need to do it because we're the ones in the evolutionary cycle. This is for us. So we have to learn. Just know that they're always with us. They're always guiding us. They're always providing an example, whether through a current incarnation or some of their other incarnations. And make no mistake, these beings have had many, nowhere near the thousands. In fact, I could tell you that Yogananda's had 38 different incarnations. The being known as Saint Germain has had 181 different incarnations. The being known as Christ has had 79 incarnations. So they don't, as I said, they're not in the evolutionary cycle. So they don't have to incarnate, They do it to be of service. They do it at the right time. And if there ever was perfection, even though there isn't, if there ever was perfection, they have perfect timing.
When ascended masters choose to come down and help humanity, let's say, like a Jesus or a Yogananda or a Buddha or something like that, they take the risk of potentially bringing on ego. They could devolve a bit because there's stuff down here that they can kind of grab onto if they're not careful, because that's the nature of this reality. Like if you're playing a video game and like, I got shot by an arrow, that's the nature of the game you're playing. Arrows are being thrown. There's nothing, you can't stop that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So let's look at this. Okay. So the first thing we can say about ascended masters is that they are not directly in the evolutionary cycle. Mm-hmm. So they are inserted into the evolutionary cycle as they are the true teachers of humanity. Mm-hmm. So they never needed to incarnate. They were created with a certain level of sentience where incarnation into the lower frequencies of the physical universe does not afford them any real evolution. In a sense, they're already beyond it. They're already past it. Mm. So when they do show up at this point, they show up out of love. They show up out of service, because in that sense, there's really nothing here for them. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, an authentic ascended master actually cannot accrue karma. They're past the law of karma. Because of their own high frequency, they actually can't get attached or addicted to anything here. There's a natural level of detachment that they carry because of their supremely high frequency, right, that they never get encumbered here.
But with that, but I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that happens when they arrive at that level. But when they're born, like when Jesus showed up, there was a 30-year gap. He was figuring stuff out, and that's a conversation to be had of what happened. That's always a fascinating conversation of what happened to Jesus during those 30 years. But during those 30 years is the point where he's figuring it out, to the point where he does become self-realized. So isn't that the danger point of possibly, hey man, I like alcohol. I don't think it's going to happen that way, but you know what I mean? They might get caught up in human frailties in that period as they're evolving in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah, human frailties and karma are not necessarily the same.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, do they have to wake themselves up? Well, of course they have to wake themselves up, because they're having a human experience as well. They're subjected to the low frequencies, to the brainwashing, to the conditioning, all of these things. And there's also a severe loss of consciousness when we're projected all the way down here. And for a supremely advanced being, it's even more severe, to be quite honest, right? So, but karma, in terms of addiction, they actually can't get it. But can they struggle? Is it possible for them not to fully wake up? Yes. It's possible, but most of the time that doesn't happen, because they're wise enough to make sure that there are certain events that they plan within their life plan, that they are assured within themselves that when this event happens, they will fully wake up. So and that's part of what the light, and by the way, that's the same for everybody. It's just a little different with the ascended masters. The data points in our life plan, they're actually designed for us to become self-realized. The point of incarnation is not to incarnate again. It's not to do this tens of thousands of times over and over again. Right? I am just as obsessed with the efficacy of the evolution of consciousness, which is why I'm actually here. This is my obsession. The evolution of consciousness with the greatest efficacy is what gets me up in the morning, what makes me incarnate, to be quite frankly. Mm-hmm. So not waking up is very difficult for an ascended master, for it not to happen. Something will occur for them. And sure, then it's about how deeply do they go within. And also, most ascended masters don't incarnate without the other supremely advanced beings around them in some way or another. And I'll just mention this about Jesus. So obviously Master Sananda, Jesus Christ is known as Master Sananda. So Master Sananda, when he incarnated, his earthly father, Joseph, is an ascended master. He's had incarnations known as Saint Germain, Plato, Moses, Merlin, Christopher Columbus, to name a few. So his earthly father is an ascended master. Mary, his earthly mother, not technically an ascended master, but operates at the exact same level as an ascended master.
Mm.
So if we just start to look at this, and John the Baptist was also an ascended master. So if we start to look at this, most of the time, an ascended master is doing extremely important work that actually only they can do. I hope you enjoyed the video. Now, if you are desirous of more of the real you and less of your conditioned, agitated mind, if you know that you can create a life that you're not leading right now, but you know you can, check out my meditation masterclass. It's pinned in the comments below.